Well, so we're here to have great conversations, but again, you know that today we've dedicated the show to the football club, my own football club, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and also the players and management team, as well as Yotumfo Oseitu II, who is a life patron of the club. And we know that it's coming on the heels of that accident they had or got encountered with around in Nkoko just about 30 hours ago after playing that match in the Ghana Premier League with Inter Allies here in Accra. And we say that we empathize with the current situation the footballing body finds itself with, but we also say that, well, we need to have faith. And we have Amos Kevin Annan. He's in the studio, but we're here to discuss a great topic, a topic that touches many families. And I'm waiting on Mama Vio Sabaji to tell me a lot more of many of the issues, and then we'll have great comment. Okay, so Mama Vio Sabaji will be joining me as we take a break. Do stay on.
It's very important. It's all part of the games. So normally we use the weekend for that. Weekend, depending if we don't have any. Sometimes we just include in other social activities. If it's church program, we do that. If we don't have any other activities, we go out any place that we think is convenient for us. We have our long-term plans already, which is already captured for us. We know what to do. By the end of the week, we just sit down, recap all that transpired within the weekend. Any other challenges that we have, we know how to address it. For children, it's planned at the beginning of the marriage. And then our educational progress, how to continue with education, all those things are planned at the beginning of the marriage.
You talk about in-laws.
Yes, we talk about it because they are part of us. So they are integral part of our programs.
I spend a lot of time with my family. We sit together, we eat together, we have chat together. So it's good to have such conversation with your family always, because whatever may come wrong somewhere, definitely we may know it. So if you can take good care of it that time, you may take. We discuss about our children, how their future will be. That's what we are planning for.
So do you discuss about how your in-laws, your relationship with your in-laws would be, or all that?
Oh no, as for that one, we don't discuss.
Why?
It's not. As for me, I'm discussing certain with my mother and father and my siblings, but my in-laws side, I don't discuss it because I'm not interested. But whatever it comes from there, maybe I will take good care of it.
Yeah, I spend time with my family most often. Yeah, I really spend time with them. Like sometimes when I close from work, I hang out with them. We sit down, we chat, we talk a whole lot of stuff and all that. We talk about relationship stuff, and I mean how my day was and all that.
A lot of times I find that they don't interact during dinner and then after dinner. So when I'm with my family, we'll play a board game after dinner, and then we'll either hang out and talk or play cards and just spend time together and be with each other and enjoy each other's company and kind of detach from the technology a bit and just be people with each other. All kinds of things. I mean, relationships with other people and like family, extended family, with my personal family, and different like things going on in the world, like international and politics, that type of things, but also more just personal and like making jokes and just enjoying each other's company, simple things.
Despite the heavy schedule of my work, I still spend time with my family, especially during holidays and weekends. As of now, my first child is 10 years old, a daughter. So I used to be very critical about her education and any other aspect of life affecting her as an individual. That's what we do most of the times.
Yes, indeed. We're talking family time this Relationship Friday when one of our favorite, but sadly, he's lost his father. But it's a celebration. We're celebrating a beautiful life, a well-lived life. So it's all joy. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you too, Amos Kevin.
Good morning, Ro. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Sorry about your dad, though.
Well, he's gone to eternity. You can't complain. He lived a worthy life. Was not a perfect person. He had his downsides and he had his upsides, but he left great legacies for us, the sons, the 4 sons, myself being the eldest son, and the 2 daughters, one being older than myself, and the other being 3 after me, a pastor's wife as well. And so, well, we had a 1 week on Monday, and so we fixed the date. And thankfully, we had a very peaceful conversation with the family. The arrangement to be that on Saturday, we will bring him home by 2 a.m. Then we will take him to the Catholic Church, Our Lady of Mercy Catholic Church in Community 1, Tema, where he was a communicant. Thereafter, we would convey the body to his hometown, Gomoatakwa, to be buried next to his father, mother, and 2 other brothers.
Oh, okay.
So we would then.
But this will be in August.
This is in
August.
This is in August. August 19th and 20th. From the church, those of us who convey the body to Gomoatakwa, the rest will go to Community 4, the VACO employees' recreational area in Community 4, popularly called Vera. It's near the most famous Wache in Tema. And so that is where the funeral service itself, rites and others will be held. And then on Sunday, we will go for second Mass at 9:30 to give thanks to God and to celebrate the life. And then we'll come back to the Vera area to sit for the final funeral rites and all that it entails.
Our condolences to you.
Thank you for your prayers. We thank all who came to celebrate the 1 week with us. It's been humbling. I had never imagined the extent to which the conversations we have here are making serious impact in marriages.
We thank God for that.
I was amazed to meet people who say, I'm happy meeting you for the first time because I've been blessed by what you do on Joy News Channel and on Adom Radio. So I have now gotten a renewed commitment to be cautiously engaging with the people out there because they come in different shades and forms. People with high pedigree. I've been humbled, honestly. And the wishes come and the prayers. We thank God for all that. And I'm also grateful to you, those of you on the AM show and the Joy family, Joy News family, as well as the multimedia empire.
All right.
We can afford to smile.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. He lived a good life, Mr. Aloysius.
And he's brought us together in a very unique way. Family times together. We are now having times we have not had in many years. With all the extended family and everybody for the first time. In many, many years.
Coincidentally, that's what we're talking about.
Yes, family time.
I'm not sure what we are talking about would also need the extended family, but that's...
Well, it's family time. Family time is family time, and we have the nuclear, we have the extended, we have other families that we have. So if it's a family time, you've got to then segment which one you are discussing. And that's fair and good.
Well, before this studio conversation, we played to you sound bites of people out there and what they may make of family time. So if you've got something that you want to share with us, I know some of you have already sent us messages from the beginning of the show. We will share that with everybody else. If you've got something that you want to say to us, just send us a WhatsApp message or a regular text message and we will share it with everybody else. When we talk family time, I think when we're doing the newspapers, Roland and myself were talking about the fact that people are now living like a fictional kind of life. Somebody said somewhere that because of television and the internet. We're living a different kind of life. But what is family time really when we say family time?
Well, I mean, family time would be either an intentional or unintentional time you allocate to be with family. So some of it is planned, others unplanned. Now, the time spanned for such an engagement with the family would differ from person to person, depending on 1, your schedules, 2, your lifestyle, 3, your own experience growing up. Because those 3 elements have implications on how much time you're able to make for a family. Now, the arrival of a child, for instance, between a couple puts a strain on their time. So now time shifts from us to a new person. And oftentimes the woman spends more time with a child, especially because they're that young. Now, the man may lose out eventually. Now, there's a need for the woman now to find creative ways of involving the man in the caring for the new child who had arrived. And that involvement would also increase their moments together as spouses. If that is not done, what you end up seeing is that their relationship as a couple will be sacrificed for parenting. So you end up being parents, very good parents, but not good spouses.
But that can also be very tough.
That can be tough.
Yeah.
And it should not be that way. We should be able to handle both on an equal keel. So that means that the couple need to look at the pressure on them as individuals first, and 2, as a couple, and then 3, as a family. There will be a lot of demands. There will be a lot of adjustments. There will be new things that will come into your life. And then there will be the need to automate certain activities because you have a new person who needs to be cared for. So if you don't automate certain activities by deploying gadgets and devices that can do things that otherwise may be done manually or physically, then you are going to have to sacrifice that time still. And now you have a third person in your midst. So how are you going to make the extra time? Because you have 24 hours anyway. You have 7 days in a week. So creativity is required to create extra time to be able to be together. And this is where technology, which has come, becomes a big platform. For instance, social media, for instance. And that will also depend on the person's schedule. If you are the kind who goes to the office and you can't touch your phone, the social media, even though it's there, is redundant. Now, the other thing would be how you spend your breaks, break time. If you're all working within Accra, for instance, is it possible to have lunch times together?
Does that ever happen?
Oh, yes.
You know, there are some nice things that we hear.
I can tell you, I have sat with couples who even find time, lunchtime, to have a romantic session. They check out into a hotel.
In Ghana here?
In Ghana here.
They are not dating, they are married.
No, husband and wife.
They check and they are not like a fresh couple?
No, fresh couple. It's like 15 years of marriage.
Oh, wow.
And they are able to find time once in a while. Not always, though, but once in a while. They check into a hotel. Their lunchtime is just the lunch, proper lunch.
That would be
not
good.
The midnight lunch.
Because, you know, I was just going to say that you can make family time, but make family time and watch TV and not talk about things that really matter to the family. It's no family time.
Watching TV together can be family time for people who are under the stress of work and they are barely at home. So if he comes or she comes to sit with you, all of you together, like the picture you have, for instance, if assuming they were watching television, this is a family. Now, it may well be that one is a traveler and has come home. So sitting with the family to watch television is good family time. It's a natural setting. It's not artificed. So everybody then goes into their natural mode and conversations can be stringed along the themes of the whatever they are watching. It may be sports, it may be telenovela, it may be a movie, it may be a discussion like we're having right now. And so we should be flexible on what we say we are spending time for and about.
Yeah.
If we get into boxing ourselves, it has to be out of home only, then we are not being fair to people who don't have that luxury.
Are you by that saying that it's not good to like schedule or plan?
You should plan. You see, family time is family time because you make time for it. You prioritize it. So you have to let other things go to give way for this one. Okay, assuming your favorite team is Manchester. And Manchester
For his sake, Chelsea.
Oh, Chelsea, the
Chelsea.
Blues. Okay, let's take the Blues. And yours is what?
Definitely United.
United. Okay,
Yeah.
so
He's a Man U fan.
Man U and Chelsea. Assuming Man U and
We're
Chelsea
rivals.
have a game, and Roland goes home, and he's been away for say 4 weeks, and the next day he's traveling again. Is he able to sacrifice the game, the viewing of the game, if the family is not interested, in order just to be with them?
Please answer that.
That's a task. That's a big sacrifice.
Well, true. I like watching football, but I don't think that I cannot sacrifice. I think I can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there are things that we can actually give up so we gain within the family setting. So when it is that we get into a fixation that says, I can't let go of this one, and most of it is simply because it gives you this thrill. It gives you this adrenaline in you, that energy, excitement.
But aren't you couples, and so you're supposed to share in the hobbies of each other?
You should share in your pastime vocations and interests. But where it is that your excitement will be so much that we won't have your attention, then you have to let go.
Okay. The issue about trying to have time and make time, at what point would you say that the consistency is important? And so that also has an influence on the cohesion.
You see, the consistency would be valid to the extent that we creatively do it. Now, once in a while, once a month, I'm available. Let's say the whole month, I'm only home a week. Now, I have chosen that in the week that I am home, we will have meals together. Maybe lunch or dinner together or breakfast together. That must be noticed by those around you, that this has a certain consistency. Which consistency you must keep. And where you are unable to keep those consistencies, you need to explain why not.
Okay. Even if you have less time, let's say
If you
everybody
have less time, clear communication to create understanding is very important. Because in your communication, you are seeking to create understanding in the person who is listening to you. So once they understand you, they solidarize with you. And they can even support you in whatever endeavor you are pursuing. But where it is that you have not engendered that kind of understanding, then they become an obstacle. Then they intrude into your space. In that case, you are going to be ruffled and then agitated in your response. So we can minimize that if we clearly communicate to our significant persons. Where there is no communication, assumption flies. Presuppositions, join these mindsets, prejudiced thoughts. So the person sees you and says, well, your work is more important than me. You value your friends more than us. You don't want to miss your TV favorite game, but you are willing to miss us. So then there is that scale of preference being drawn by them, which then influences their behavior towards you.
And sometimes they will just assume that, oh, I mean, daddy likes football. He usually doesn't want to do any other thing, so we will not even bother him with what we're thinking. We'll let him be. After all, it's work or it's a game.
Yeah, some people are noted for that. For instance, he comes home from work and is on his iPad responding to mails.
Yeah.
Whereas he could defer that and engage with the family for a while, then he can go to that activity. But to just come from work, take off your clothes and in your boxer and your singlet or anything you want to wear, sit there, cross your legs, and take your iPad busy responding to messages. your family look at you and they go like, so which one is the priority?
But somebody like that may also say that, but you haven't complained before. You haven't even alerted me.
You also have to now bring in the element of personalities. Some personalities will only accommodate it. They will tolerate it without complaining. The choleric will voice out. The sanguine will voice out, not the phlegmatic or melancholy. So it then comes into what kind of a personality am I dealing with? Because the sanguine and choleric may complain, and if you don't give it attention, they'll be quiet, even though they are the talking type.
Yeah.
And when they get quiet, they withdraw. Now, for the phleg and the melancholy, they are careful not to hurt you, so they won't intrude into your space.
So even though they are hurting?
They are quiet, silently dying inside. And all the things that hurts them is in them. So there's a need for us to also pay attention to the fabric of the people around us. How are they wired? Because the extent to which they are wired would influence their personal response to people.
Interesting. We've got some messages already on WhatsApp. You can also send us regular text messages. Lloyd is a student at Pentecost University. First, he would like to express his condolence to you, Councillor Amos.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Family time is one of the things I enjoy most of late. I recently really got to know how humorous my family members are, and has created a really cool bond between us. Thank you very much for the message that you've sent. Here's Enoch also sending us a message. Enoch says, oh, okay. Enoch says, I can't watch the show since you have to leave to work very early this morning. Okay, so this is what you can do, Enoch. You have to catch up on myjoyonline.com. Just go to myjoyonline.com and keep scrolling down. You'll find our videos and you can catch up with any conversation that you miss because
you know that that's also a remedy for those who are caught up in the cycle of always wanting to watch live games. They are available online to be viewed later.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't give you the thrill.
The adrenaline
is lower because you already know the scores. Yeah. But that's a worthy sacrifice to make if it is for family.
At the end of the day, it's good that we're talking about the timing and the innovativeness. So first, how innovative can you be? And then how do you need to have a buy-in?
For instance, if you keep schedules, you keep a diary, you have a calendar that plans your schedules. You know when to do what activity and what it is that you can forecast to be sacrificed so that you are not caught in the spur of the moment. Because if you get into the cycle where you are in the tyranny of the urgent, always in an emergency mode, then you won't plan for anything. So for instance, you know that your leave is in August. Now, are you taking your leave to get some extra job, or you are taking your leave to make time for yourself to recuperate, to reinvigorate, to revive yourself and restore your energy? Or you are going to make time for your spouse and for your children, if you have children. So that's very important. And then you also ask yourself, what is it at all that I have done over the years that can be sacrificed without causing me so much pain? And sometimes we don't pause to look at those things. So we assume that everything ought to be done the way they have always been done. And there are some chores that you may be undertaking that your spouse can really help you to achieve those same ends.
Definitely.
So can I delegate? Effective delegation comes in. Are there some chores that your children are of age to handle for you? For instance, filing documents together, piecing papers together. Can they help do those things, especially if it is that they are not confidential in nature? You're putting some data on spreadsheet.
So at the end of the day, you're working, but it becomes
you're
part
working,
of
but it's not a family time. We're working together. For instance, in the kitchen, can you go there? from time to time. You make time to be there. Maybe it's not a regular call to be in the kitchen, but you go there to stand around, to pep talk, do a few things, not to go and correct, because then that will cause some disaffection. If you go into your spouse's space to go and correct them, when you have not commended them, you stand the risk of getting their displeasure. Because people have that tendency where they won't commend you, but they will criticize you. And this comes with the issue of, say, in-laws, for instance. You need to be able to regulate the involvement of in-laws when it comes to family times. Some people have had the unpleasant duty of being visited suddenly, whereas one party knew that this in-law relative was coming and didn't inform the other party. So you don't create goodwill, and you create disaffection. And it will come across as though that person is intolerable, is unbearable, is fuzzy, is picky, and all those things. But that is because you have created that image in your relatives, which is avoidable by just communicating to him or her that, oh, so and so wants to visit at this time. So you plan for them. Otherwise, your children will even feel funny, because you didn't tell them somebody was coming. And then all of a sudden, they come from school only to find that so and so is in the house. So you deny them of the liberty to be themselves.
And oftentimes they look lost.
They look lost. And they don't only look lost, they look angered. Because now their reaction towards the person is, you are not welcome here. You are an intruder. You are an obstacle to our joy. You're going to distract us. Already we are under the weight of less time. You're also coming. And you notice that when these persons come, we want to be extra nice.
Yeah.
So we make time for those people. Whereas we find excuses not to make time for our significant ones. So what you end up doing is that you create a disaffection between your significant ones who are in the nuclear setting for those who are in the extended family. So anytime you hear so and so is coming, today too. You know? And that's not good at all. And we, the spouses, we create that disaffection for our relatives, because in-laws are relatives by marriage. See, so once they are relatives by marriage, you cannot but accommodate them. Find space to be friendly and respectful towards them.
So you're saying that the children must also know ahead that so and so will be coming to visit.
We need to prepare them.
It's not just your partner.
Not just your spouse. You need to prepare your children for anybody who is coming to visit. Because if you thrust it upon them suddenly, clearly there will be a knee-jerk reaction. And not all the children will have the social competences to respond appropriately. Some may respond in ways that may be picked as cues by these individuals we are talking about. And that would also go to your discredit, that you haven't been a good parent. You know, when I was involved in early childhood care and development, one of the things we did was, before a child is sent to a daycare center, for instance, parents would have sent the child a couple of times to the play area of that particular school.
Yeah.
And they get fussy and excited about what is there, you know, fascinated. They go, So when you're taking them away, they say, Mom, I want to come back. And it's easy for those children to engraft into and integrate into school.
Yeah.
Than those children who are just trusted in the one day. So we have what we call preparing the school for the child and the child for school. So what I'm advocating is prepare your child for whoever is coming, and prepare whoever is coming for your children. They should know that, oh, my children, they sleep at this time, they wake up at that time.
You should let them know?
You should give those facts, those details.
Would they say, as for Auntie Mama Vidya?
You see, your home is your responsibility. It's your territory you must guard. And anybody who comes into your home is coming into a setting which has a different DNA, not what they have. The DNA is your distinctiveness as a family. So you have a family culture. For instance, we have our devotion at, say, 5:30. The person who is coming should know you have devotions at 5:30 as a family. We eat breakfast at 6 because we have to leave home by 6:30. These are things you need to supply because the person who is coming is alien. They may or may not join you in these activities, but it is good they know.
Okay.
We are home, television goes off at 10. It's a standard practice. If they say, oh, I have a favorite show on CNN or BBC or Al Jazeera I want to watch, and that comes late hour, then you give them the allowance. There's a privilege you're giving them. Hosting someone is not a right, it's a privilege.
So, you know, in reality, how do you start this conversation, especially when you've not done it before?
Well, as a couple, first and foremost, you need to have this conversation. How are we going to host our relatives? Do we have an established protocol? Who must be called? So if your dad is coming, must they call you or call me? It would be better they call their relative, not you. And their relative relays that information to you. And you should not create an adversarial posture when those requests come. There are some individuals who are very, very nosy and fuzzy when a relative of their spouse is coming home. But when theirs is coming, the kind of advocacy they will make, lobbying, they will lobby. Sometimes they will even be disrespectful of you.
Perhaps it could be inadvertent. It's not something.
Well, sometimes it could be inadvertent, as you're saying. Others do it with a contrived heart, especially when there are unresolved issues between the spouses. They will invite their relative to come without reference to you. So you close from work and you come and Uncle so and so is sitting there, or Auntie so and so, or nephew so and so, or niece so and so is there. Usually, if it's mother and father-in-law, you don't have a lot of problem unless they have given you cause to be concerned. But usually, they don't create much problem, like the nieces, the nephews, the uncles, and the aunties, because they are seen as a bit more remote.
Yeah.
But it is always polite to have a protocol. Once you establish that protocol, everybody must show goodwill, because if your relatives are coming, I have to accommodate them. So when mine is coming also, you must also accommodate them.
So we have to, so one, you say we have to talk about how
it.
Would receive
how we want to
our
receive
relatives.
them. Yes.
Okay.
And who is supposed to be the reference point for each call that is placed. And thirdly, have an established protocol. And that protocol, you should be flexible. Don't be so cagey, so strict, so stringent about it. Because if you make it too hard, it's easy to break. Make it flexible. So where it is that there's a gloss over, there's a glitch that comes, you can then accept that, oh, this one was an error of judgment. Then you can forgive. But if you don't do that, you notice that when one party is the only one who is always receiving relatives, the other party begins to feel aggrieved. And so you also need to be sensitive the extent to which your relatives come. Because if yours are the only ones who are always coming, and the sad thing is that some of them, they come because of economic well-being, for their own sustenance. If it is that, for instance, you're going to give money to your mother and you do it clandestinely, or you wait till your wife or husband moves away, then you give them money, you send a signal that she's uncomfortable or he's uncomfortable me giving you money. So it will be helpful even to get your spouse to do that. Reversal of roles.
Okay.
Let your husband serve your parents, and you serve your husband's parents. You see, it so keeps a favorable disposition in the eyes of your parents.
Okay, in line with that, do you have a recommendation as to if my family members are coming, should they tell me?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
They should say.
If your family members are coming, they should tell you that we are coming. And you have a duty to inform your significant person in your life.
Should the message even be, Mama, I'm coming to visit you this weekend, or can I come and visit you this weekend?
It depends on the personality.
Can I come and visit you?
It depends on the personality you are dealing with. Some personalities will just tell you, I'm coming to visit. Others
Who says it's a good time to come?
Others will say, it's like the telephone call, for instance. Somebody places a call to you and they expect you to be there to pick the call and to stay on. But others will call you and say, is it a good time to talk? So we have different culture, different trainings, different experiences, which informs people's attitudes and way of dealing with others. And it will be the same for family ties and issues related to it.
So in just still in line with you know, this line of conversation, if they've come and they are staying much longer than you anticipated. How should that be communicated?
You know, it's always good to know how long a person is coming to stay with you for, because it comes with budget, expenditure. Now, quite apart from that, it's also a huge adjustment on your schedules and a strain on your productivity. So there's a need to budget all those things. Those fine details need to be crossed. You need to check that so that your significant person who will be preparing to host them, because some homes you go to the kitchen and fix things for yourself. Others too is the woman who is there, who is the territorial commander of the kitchen and doesn't want anybody to go there. So she's the monarch of all she surveys. You can't go to her kitchen without her express permission.
She loves her kitchen.
She loves her kitchen. She said, this is my managerial space.
she provides the decor and
exactly.
Yeah.
So I want things to be kept the way they are. Nobody should touch anything. So if you have such a person, what then happens is that she is now going to be the one to serve them. So you've got to be able to give her a foretaste of how long the person is going to be there with you. Otherwise, you put enormous and unfortunate needless pressure on them to be serving. And because they are relatives of yours, he or she will be very sensitive and careful not to hurt a fly. Otherwise, they get a certain new image in your family that, oh, she's a hostile host. The moment somebody is described as a hostile or reluctant host, that's it. There's a nail that has been driven through your grave. Because it's going to go to the other family members. That, our brother's wife, our sister's husband, don't go there. He's a black sheep. So we have a duty, and the spouses have a distinct responsibility to work as a team in relating with in-laws. Because in-laws have the inkling to pick when there is division between the spouses. And they, like children, can exploit it. Yeah, they'll create a deeper wedge, a greater cavity between you.
Yeah.
And so there's a need for you not to create any image that we are not together.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take some more messages. Godwin Azor de Souza from Afife is expressing his heartfelt condolence to you, Kevin Amos Annan. And he says, you're my role model.
I'm grateful.
Here's one that says, her mother is currently... Okay, her mother... where are you? We used to have a good family time, but my... wicked... No, is it wicked wife?
Perhaps maybe he's describing...
came into our home to tie us apart.
Yeah,
and it says her mother is currently in our home without any notice. That's from Atogawe in Bolga sending us this message. This one too says, family time. I wish to know from your guest about how a man can marry together his responsibility as a caring father and a good loving husband. Because if he refused to go out to look for food, he will be tagged as a lazy and irresponsible father.
That's true.
And if he spends more time out there too, looking for means of being responsible, he will still be tagged as a bad husband who is trying to avoid staying with his family. Emmanuel Fiagbadu from Trigri in Qatar sending us that message. And here's another one. I want to just box 5 of them together. It's my first time watching the show. Okay, you're loving it already. Thank you. I've learned a lot. God bless you, sir, and sorry for your loss. That's from Nancy. Here's the final one, then you can come in. It says, good morning. It's rather very... Okay, this one is a really, really long one on Kotoko. Roland rightly indicated that the show is dedicated to that tragic incident. So appropriately, people are sending messages.
I think it would be appropriate for us to also send our condolences and God's prayers and wishes to the Asante Kotoko family. Myself played for Anochi in Tama, so I'm a Kotoko fan.
Ex-footballer.
My younger brother is Hasselfolk, and I recall those days when my father was Hasmal. So there was always... do. Well, let's respond to the issues raised. Difficult in-laws are very difficult to accommodate. They tend to be very unbearable, unappreciative, and overly intrusive within the space of their children's marriages and family. That is to be acknowledged. There are some in-laws who are having issues now because prior to the marriage, they opposed vehemently the prospects of the marriage. And that fouls the atmosphere for a very long time, unless they choose to remedy the situation. And that means that one must have a forgiving heart and a gracious posture. Now, having said that, any in-law who tries to live his or her life through their children in their marriage will create problems. Any in-law who tries to teleguide their children or their relatives' marriages or parenting will also have a problem. Because if you're telling them how to, there was an ad on TV where the mother calls the daughter-in-law asking her to read Malachi for the husband who is the son. I mean, to what extent can you teleguide your daughter-in-law? There's an extent to which you can go. Beyond a certain threshold, you're becoming overbearing. Okay. So those who are having difficulty with in-laws, I acknowledge those ones. You need special grace to be able to do that. The gentleman will ask whether to be a father and a husband, how to juggle between those. It's just about, the new norm is multitasking.
Men are not so good with that.
Yeah, women are naturally predisposed to be multitasking than men, but men can also learn the art and skill. I mean, after all, I see people driving and WhatsApping. That's multitasking, if you could do that.
But that's not good.
It's not good, but they do it. I'm on the motorway all the time, and you see somebody on the phone on the motorway. I mean, for God's sake, motorway, and he's on the phone.
So when it's convenient for men, even when it's so dangerous, they do it.
They do it. They take the risk to do so. So there's a need for us to go back and ask ourselves, how are we able to take this daring posture and then say we cannot do it? We can do it if we put our hearts and minds to it. But the critical call is balance. Because a false balance still remains an abomination. And so you don't sacrifice one for the other. Try and do all, para pursue, get along, do it together. But you first have to be a good husband before you become a good father. You
good husband?
Before you become a good father. Many are being good fathers and being bad husbands. And that's dangerous because see, the best gift you can give to your children is being a good husband, being a good spouse. So there's a need for the couples to keep that balance and the priority. Be a spouse first, then a parent second.
Okay.
It's very important.
It's the same with, okay, yeah.
For
now
women
that
as well.
You said spouse, okay. So be a wife first.
Be a wife first.
Before
you become a mother.
Even when you have a new baby.
But I mean, a new baby is a new arrival. It's a shared responsibility. And the thing is this, that when you go to the delivery ward and you see the babies wrapped in their clothes, it's a bundle of anxiety and hope. Anxious about what they are going to become, how much sacrifice we have to make, what adjustments. Hey, can I maintain this? Can I handle this? That's the anxiety. Everybody goes through that. But there is also hope that there are prospects ahead that we can pursue. So there's a need for us. If we believe that time with the family is essential, we make time for things that are essential. And so we should make time. It's like Facebook. People go there all the time, but they make time to converse with significant individuals. Not everybody, because you have a plethora of messages coming, and would you respond to everyone? You have WhatsApp. You make priority to respond to which ones that are essential. Otherwise, you end up not having time for anything.
Yeah.
So time is not available for anybody, including myself. But we make time. We create time. But making sure that we eliminate anything that will waste our time and creatively save time so that we can be with our significant ones.
All right. In wrapping up this, I just want to read some messages that have come through and then we'll wrap up. This one says, Elliot from Cape Coast. Family isn't about blood. It is who is willing to hold your hands when you need it the most. Thanks, Elliot. Another one says, I'm really enjoying the show. I'm staying with my husband. in his parents' house. She sometimes finds so many faults with me, and I've been able to bear it for about 2 years. I don't know what else to do to avoid her without looking disrespectful, and my husband hasn't made up his mind to get a new place for us. I need my peace. That's Annabelle in Kwashiman. And forgive me, I have a terrible cold this morning. I am trying to manage it with it. But Roland will read the last one, and then we'll call it a wrap.
Oh, somebody's calling as usual. So we have this one from... okay, no name yet, but okay, we have, this one is from Festus Andrew, aka Big West, and I have to take from a previous message his name. Good morning, this is my second time listening to you, Amos Kevin Annan, and I love the way you break down your topics and explain them. It says, love you guys, thank you very much. And we have to wrap up?
Yeah, we do. Because you're going on Adam this morning. You are still talking.
I'm talking to men.
You're talking to men. So yeah, men. He's still with you.
Yeah, I'm going to raise some issues about when men struggle, what they must do.
When men struggle, what they must do. That's something that we can also share.
What kind of
here.
Struggle?
Oh, there's so many struggles.
Yeah.
Struggle for identity, affirmation, approval.
Okay.
Struggle with pain.
All in the marriage, relationship, family.
The same context. Especially when your wife beats you. What do you do?
When your wife beats you.
What do you do?
What kind of beating? You mean real beating?
Real beating.
Right.
Do you run to the police station?
It happens.
It's a struggle.
Like,
It's happening.
A woman beating
No,
a man
is it
in a marriage?
Okay, wait till.
It's a struggle. They say bemensu.
Is it because you can't, you know, equally beat her?
No, you don't have to
or
beat
you don't
her,
want to.
But here it is the case that there's a reversal of assault and battery.
Charlie.
Some more women are beating men. Men have kept quiet over it because they've been told bemensu. Shed no tears as man. So they internalize this pain.
This is hard.
And I mean, some men have fear, latent fear in them. Fear of failure, for instance.
Yeah.
And they are not able to talk about it.
It's true.
They're struggling with some bad habits. And they're afraid to even discuss it to their spouses.
Maybe this has brought something that I think will be key for us to discuss.
Let's discuss.
There are some men who are afraid of us women. Yeah, even though we are their partners.
The modern
and
day
that's because
woman.
of some of the things that we do. So they are afraid to talk about it.
Exactly.
So they don't. It will
You
be
raise
something
a
that
lot
we'll
of
talk about.
scarecrows.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about it. Sometimes we scare them away without even knowing. But thank you so much. Enjoy your time.
Thank you.
On
It's an
Adam
honor.
FM.
And do enjoy your day as well,
Bless
your
you.
weekend.
We're sorry about
Enjoy your
that.
weekend as well.
Our
Yeah,
sympathies
you too.
as
Thanks.
always.
All right.